Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And we hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday, regardless of what holiday you've celebrated recently. We hope it was great. This is coming out the day after Christmas. So if you celebrated Christmas, we hope you had a great Christmas. I think that's also near the end of Hanukkah. So we hope you had a wonderful Hanukkah. And I think Kwanzaa is around the same time. So whatever you celebrate, we hope
Enjoy.
It's a wondrous time for you.
Absolutely.
And we hope that it was a great time. So we did some Christmas stuff this year. We did an ugly Christmas sweater party. We talked about Spirited. We talked about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Val, we know you're not necessarily the biggest fan of all of the Christmas movies out there. I'm at this point where I'm like, I've watched a lot of Christmas movies.
I'm
ready for something different.
I'm ready.
So today we are giving you a palate cleanser episode. This is not going to be Christmas related at all. We are talking about Knives Out. If you missed it on Saturday, we released our review of Glass Onion, spoiler free. We didn't spoil anything in the movie for you. So if you haven't seen Glass Onion and wondering whether or not you should, and you put any stock in our opinions, there you go. We recommended you should see it. So go watch that episode and we'll tell you why.
A, and Jake gave it an A+.
I did.
You guys are giving away all of our secrets. You're not very good at mysteries.
Yeah. We wanted to leave something for them to go see the episode. Mainly for our witty banter. That's the biggest reason.
Go back and enjoy, and sometimes when you know the ending, then you go back and rewatch. But I'm sure they've already listened.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. We're going to do more of those reviews as the new year comes, and I think most of the new movies are going to be in a different format. We're not necessarily with a brand new movie that's come out. We're going to not necessarily do an episode like this, but we have some other things that we're going to announce as far as new movies go. So stay tuned for that. 2023. We don't want to say this is our year. We're going into 2023 quietly, hoping nobody notices. We're just going to keep going. Nobody try to make waves in 2023. Just let it happen.
In, smile, be polite.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're hoping to do with 2023. But we've got some good things going for us. So this is our last episode of 2022. So yeah, we should be doing a recount of the year, but we're not going to because you've got enough of those going on as well. If your Facebook feed is anything like mine, you've got the Spotify Wrapped and the Apple Music equivalent, and you're starting to see from all of your movie friends the best of 2022.
I'll put a link to what to see with Val's top 10 lists on our social media, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I put together about 6 different top 10 lists, and I will be on Good Things Utah on Friday talking about my 10 feel-good movies of the year. These are not like the critically acclaimed. This is not who I think should necessarily be winning Oscars. These are movies that I really enjoyed watching during 2022 and that I think other people would also enjoy watching. And then on the website link, there will also be like critically acclaimed favorite movies of the year, like all the technical aspects. But these are my like feel good, really enjoyed watching. Like Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. If you haven't seen that movie, I'll give you one on my list. You can see what number that is. But yeah.
And Pearl, I'm sure, is there. X is going to be
Pearl
up there.
Is not on any of my lists.
Barbarian. I mean, I can keep going. Hellraiser.
Tracy, I think you and Val have a different list of feel-good
listing movies that Val will never see. The top 10 movies from 2023 that Val will never see.
That she didn't watch. Yes.
Yeah, it's I like the way you put that. The feel-good movies, the movies that you enjoyed, not necessarily the ones that are going to be critically acclaimed, winning awards, that kind of thing. I posted the other day that I watched Top Gun Maverick again, and it still holds up. Still love that movie. Maybe my favorite of the year. And Tracy, you responded with, well, most entertaining for sure. And I said, yeah, that's what makes it my favorite. Is it the best movie? It's not going to, I don't know that it's going to win Best Picture, but
I do want
I
to say
enjoyed it.
that for Top Gun Maverick was in a lot of the categories for the Utah Film Critic Association. We did
Yeah.
all of our votes last week, and Top Gun Maverick was in there, and we're professionals.
Yeah.
And again, you can have a movie that the story is not necessarily there, but the movie is well made and is enjoyable, and it can still be there, and it is nominated for a lot of things, and they think it's going to be nominated for Oscars, but again, this isn't that show, but
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's something about seeing a movie on a big screen where it
Yeah.
transports you. It takes you out of time, puts you into the story, and you just enjoy the heck out of it.
I think that was one thing that happened for me this year in 2022 was that experience
Yes.
came back.
Mhm.
Because Top Gun Maverick was an example of that. I saw that on IMAX and it was amazing.
Yeah.
We saw Avatar, The Way of Water, which again was amazing. These became movies that you felt like you needed to go to the theater to see and experience. And that had kind of been, for understandable reasons, been missing from the last couple of years. So it was good to have a couple of those movies that I felt like I have to go see this in the theater.
Yeah.
And those were two prime examples for me of that happening. I think the Batman also, I felt that way. I've watched it since on the small screen, and it is fine. It's still really good, but on the big screen when you're there experiencing it, it was much different.
That score coming through those IMAX.
Yes.
The
score is incredible in the Batman. So, so it's been a good year for movies. I'm hoping that 2023 continues that trend, and we'll see how it goes. So, and Top Gun Maverick's a good. I mean, we held on to that one for a long time. Like it was supposed to come out in 2020, and then it didn't, and then it kept getting pushed back. And
guys see his? Did you see Tom Cruise's thank you to the fans for watching Top Gun?
Yeah, that was cool.
Where he skydives.
Well, and he's put out a lot of videos lately, because there's another one where he drives his motorcycle off a cliff.
Off a cliff multiple times.
Yeah.
That guy, whether or not you like him as an actor, I think you've got to respect his dedication to his craft.
He knows who he is, and he fights for what he wants.
He knows what he wants. He's good at what he does. And he just, his determination to do the things the way he thinks that they should be done, I've got major hats off to him.
Yep.
And that's another guy who we kind of mentioned this in the Knives Out Glass Onion, but it's kind of like Dave Bautista. He's not going to win any major acting awards, but he is good at what he does, and he's entertaining as heck. So
yeah, I'm sure Tom Cruise really appreciates you putting him in the same category as Dave Bautista.
You're welcome, Tom.
Tom, if you're watching, because I know Tom and I are close.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tracy didn't mean it.
He listens to the show while he's in between takes.
Yeah.
Listen, I think 2026, Dave Bautista is going to blow us out of the water with some role. We're all going to be crying.
Bison Man.
He's new. Give him a break. He's new.
I have nothing against Dave Bautista. I'm just saying.
Whatever, Jake. You hate Dave Bautista.
Oh
just
my gosh, this is. Great. The list continues. Somehow I hate Keanu Reeves. Somehow I hate Dave Bautista.
You know who hates Keanu Reeves?
Yes, I do. Matthew Perry does not like him at all.
I was just listening to Matthew Perry's book, and I had no idea about any of this. And then I'm listening to the book, and he throws Keanu Reeves under the bus not once but twice, and I was like, "Dang, Matthew Perry!" Like it was a good book. It was a rough listen. He has had just a crazy. He shouldn't be alive. Matthew Perry should not be alive right now, and
no,
he
is. Shouldn't.
And I just can't believe he was dealing with all of that behind closed door. You know what I mean? Like he is the perfect poster child for you never know what someone is going through.
Yep.
And you think someone's life is going really well, but yeah, why Keanu Reeves, man? Like you could have any number of people.
I do appreciate though that you said he threw Keanu Reeves under the bus because like that's just beautiful.
55 miles an hour.
That just it was going at least 55 miles an hour.
I know that Matthew Perry likes to be like ironic, and he likes to make fun of people that he actually likes and regards very well, and so maybe that's what that was. But he did
Yeah,
it twice, and I think if you're going to make fun of anyone, do it with somebody that their fans are not going to come kill you, Matthew Perry.
Like
yeah,
Jared Leto.
yeah. That
Does he even
nobody
know
would
who
care.
Jared Leto is?
But you talked about Tom Cruise just kind of doing what he wants, and we're going to talk about another person in the film industry today who does what they want, and that's Rian Johnson, who's well known for doing what he wants.
Ryan with an
And
I.
that's the whole controversy with The Last Jedi, which just hit 5 years, but also with the movie we're talking about today, Knives Out, which is, I think, a brilliant film. It gives us this character of Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, and played beautifully by Daniel Craig, and then a whole cast, an ensemble cast of just incredibly funny, eclectic family members. And it's a murder mystery, a la, Sherlock Holmes, Heracles. What's that?
Agatha Christie. Yeah.
Agatha Christie, those kind of things. But I think for me, the difference maker is the script from Rian Johnson and the way that these actors play these characters, because that's what makes this film for me.
Well, and he's super gutsy with all of his casting, but this one I think was probably the biggest gutsy move for him, because you're taking Captain America right out of Endgame, right? Like,
I think it was Civil War. Was it Endgame?
Civil War? I don't know.
I think it was Endgame. Knives Out came out in 2019. I think.
It was Endgame. Okay. So right out of the fact that we have been following Chris Evans as Cap for 10 years, and this is how we know him, love him, and you want us to like him as something else? Like, whatever, man. Like, I don't know what you think you're doing, but only Rian Johnson can do that. And as much as I thought it was gutsy and I love Chris Evans, he's not the highlight or star of this, which I also think is good, because he just made him, like, they're all these, it's an ensemble cast, but even the ones that he pushes forward a little bit to highlight a little bit more are not the people when you read this cast that you think it's going to be. It's Ana de Armas, like one of her first roles. So we don't even really know who this kid is yet. We've got Chris Evans, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jaimee Lee Curtis, Toni Collette, Michael Shannon, Christopher Plummer, Don Johnson, and then Lakeith Stanfield, who I love. And I'm just, the only thing that I hate about this movie is that I don't get more Lakeith, because I'm a huge fan of him, and we don't really.
Yeah.
He's just kind of, he's there for a minute.
Yeah. Well, and when you were mentioning Chris Evans, like, he does not have a line in the movie until over an hour into the film.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. He's
like, you see,
he's not a likable character.
No, this is not Captain America.
I'm going to take your superhero and I'm going to make you hate him, and then you're going to hate yourself for hating him.
But you're going to love the fact that you hate him.
Yeah,
but you
he is
question
such
yourself.
a good villain in this.
Like, halfway through the movie, you're questioning, like, is this right? Is this something I'm supposed to feel? Like, I'm like, can we stop for a minute so that I can gather how I'm feeling?
I read an interview with Rian Johnson, and he said originally the script was full of F-bombs in that one particular scene with Chris Evans. Yeah. And he's like, he decided to cut all of it because he's like, I want this to be, because Rian Johnson grew up on 1970s whodunit thrillers. Like, his film knowledge, like, if you listen to him talk, like, his knowledge of genre is just incredible. And he'll name off like all these detective films that influenced him. And I love the fact that he takes all of that, and then he's like, I want this to be more family friendly. I want it to be like what I enjoyed watching with my family. So then they did with the eat shit line. And then they said that Michael Shannon improvised his, I will not eat one iota of shit. They said that was completely improv. Shannon. And they were like, okay, we
will not eat.
I was thinking about it because it is a PG-13 movie, which means you get the one, right, that you can drop in there. Mm-hmm. And I've decided that he is a master of picking the spot to drop the one, because it's right toward the beginning, and it's Don Johnson's character that does it when Benoit Blanc is just playing the keys on the piano, and he's like, who the F is that? And it just comes in and it's just quick, but it's just so perfectly timed. And then the other, I mean, I could see that rant from Chris Evans having all the F-bombs in there, but it works really well with just the E.
Oh, the way he delivers that line where he's like, you and you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you can, and it's just so good.
It's like Oprah giving out the
Yeah,
you get a car.
yeah,
And
he's
you get a car
the
and...
Oprah of feces is what it is. You get to eat it. You get to eat it. You
Is
get
that
to
the
eat
title of
it.
this episode?
Everybody. No. but yeah, his character is so good in this, and it highlights for me what the experience of watching the film was, because as I watched it, I would think I had something figured out, and then I didn't, and then I thought it was something else, and then it kind of goes, because when Ransom, when they're talking about him and everything, I'm like, he's got to be the bad guy. He's got to be involved in the murder and everything. But then when he takes her to the restaurant and he gets her away from everybody, I'm like, maybe he's not. Maybe I see this is one of those characters where everybody thinks they're really nasty and bad, but he's actually really the good guy.
Nice guy.
I'm okay with that. And then when he's like, tell me everything about it. You've just eaten all these beans and bacon, and here's a bowl, and I'm going to know when you're lying. I was like, nope, he is absolutely a bad guy. But it just in those few minutes, you're going back and forth on this character. And really with a lot of the characters throughout the movie, you're like, okay, who has the best motive? Who would have done this? And then as it's revealing that it was Marta the whole time, you're like, that can't be right, because she's like the nicest person. She can't be the murderer.
You're like, but she probably is the murderer, because that's all twisty and you don't expect it. And
yeah, I think this one is it's more of the twisty versions of the Knives Out, where I think Glass Onion is it's not as twisty, but it is one of those comedic, where it's like, look at this over here while I have this happening over here. Oh wait, look at this shiny thing, but this is happening over here. It's kind of one of, it's one of those,
more of a magic trick.
Yeah. And they both work so well.
But
this one,
but I like that they feel different, though, because I would imagine working as a detective in the real, each case is going to unfold itself differently, and so I like that they each have a unique feel to it. I'm sorry I cut you off, Val. You said
you're totally fine. No, this one, and I will probably get hate mail for this, but when I think about the difference between the two movies, just in really like layman's terms of movies, this one is the color of like dishwater the whole time. And the other Knives Out Glass Onion is like a piñata. You've got this very dark setting with a very dark storyline. And the other one is like this very bright and in your face and flamboyant setting with twists, with, like you said, magic tricks instead of twists and turns. But and so they feel,
and I love the fact
they feel very different, and they look
the
very
same
different.
Cinematographer too.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant how they play with color and how they play with lighting and how they play with settings, because this other one, the settings, most of them are outside and bright, and you go inside a little bit, and this one is almost always inside and you go outside a little bit, and so it's
and even when they're outside, it's that New England type fall overcast the whole time, and it's not like it. The color of dishwater is an interesting way to describe it, because I don't think it's wrong. Like the whole time, it is kind of that muted color.
And that's not it's not me being mean. It's just like when you say Knives Out to me, I immediately, because I see things in color when you say them to me, I immediately think of dishwater and blue. Like there's always some kind of blue and just brown, right? It's just like this brown with every once in a color blue. And if you say Glass Onion, I'm thinking like every color on a piñata.
And a lot of the characters are dressed accordingly. Like Chris Evans has a kind of beigeish sweater.
You say sweater?
Yep, he does have a beigeish sweater.
Is it a schmedium?
It's a schmedium sized sweater. Love it.
Does it make him sweaty?
What I loved, like in Glass Onion, is like when
you said sweaty, and I can't help but go back to Saturday Night Live. Alec Baldwin.
We've got our own one now. You've got a Schwedish medium sweater that makes you sweaty.
Sweaty
I don't know how to say it.
medium sweater. I can't say that 6 times fast. But I was just gonna say, I mean, like, and then you see Benoit Blanc in the second one, where he like comes out in that blue and white striped short
Yes.
suit, you
So
know.
great.
So, but
Yeah.
I love. I was noticing this, watching this again yesterday. Just the way he does his framing, and the way he places the characters in that frame is so interesting. And when Benoit is interviewing these people, and he asks them a question, and then we cut to the actual thing that actually happened. We see what the discussion was between Ransom and is it his grandfather? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's his
Um,
grandfather.
and we see the scene, or we see what happened with Michael Shannon's character or whatever, and then we cut back to the character. Every single time we get this fairly close up where you can just see the expression on their face, and it's so great because you see them going, what should I say? And then they dive into the story that they tell to cover up what actually occurred. And that is just so much fun.
Yeah.
I do want to say that this movie, what he did for us, has made us remember how talented people are. Like, I didn't know that I missed Don Johnson
Yeah.
Yeah.
in a movie, because if you were like, yeah, Don Johnson's in it, I would have been like, okay, that's fine. But he holds his own. He is such a good actor that I've totally forgotten about. But my other thing is, like, I will watch anything Toni Collette is in.
Oh,
But
she's great.
I give you,
except for Hereditary. Don't see that one.
yeah, I mean, I try not to remember that movie, so thanks for putting that in there. But I want to give you a little treat, kids,
Okay.
of what I think you should do. If you're a fan, or if you like Jaimee Lee Curtis a little bit,
Mhm.
I would watch this movie and then back to back make a little double feature, watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. And to
That's a
see
very good
her
combo.
in this, do this character and how brilliant she is. And there's moments where she's very reined in and then very in your face, and then watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, where it's just, she's brilliant at being so reined in on the most ridiculous moments. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a talent to be sitting there in a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once with that character, and to just try and blend into the background, but you're not, because you're brilliant. But
Well,
watch these two movies back to back, and it's a little treat for you. You're welcome.
she's one that can really disappear into a role. Like, you still know it's Jaimee Lee Curtis, but you're like, you just want to see what this character.
But I think people forget about her. Like, you think,
agree.
you think of Halloween. Okay, let's name another movie that she's in other than Halloween. It's going to be probably Freaky Friday.
Yep.
And I mean, as much as that's cute, it's whatever, right? I mean, she made other movies, but that's what she's really known for. And then you take these two movies, it's just brilliant.
Well, and yeah, I feel like the roles that I think of her in, like off the top of my head, are like True Lies or like Trading Places. Both movies that, again, aren't known for like showcasing an actor's talents. So I think you're right. She is one that people kind of forget about how good she is. And she is really good in this movie. How long ago was
True Lies? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it was
long time ago.
Like 30 years ago now, because it was in the 90s, which means it was 30 years ago. I don't like thinking about it. It makes me sad.
Like, I have purposely not watched the trailer for that 90s show because I just don't want to feel that old.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to either. And I mean, I'm younger than you are, Tracy, so I can only imagine how old it makes you feel.
Good afternoon, Jake.
Yeah, good afternoon indeed.
Good afternoon.
When I watched Glass Onion, there were a lot of lines in there that I thought, I don't remember these kind of lines being in Knives Out, where they're just super kind of funny one-liner things. But then I watched Knives Out again. I'm like, no, they're in there. You just kind of miss it in the dishwater color of the movie, right? Because it is a little bit more serious.
More subtle. Yeah.
But like at one point when they're talking about the kid overhearing the conversation and Don Johnson drops the line, yeah, he was in there joylessly masturbating to pictures of dead deer. I'm like, what in the world? That is an amazing line. And the way he delivers it is so good.
I need
It
to
was
go mark
hilarious.
that off my list of things that I never thought I'd hear you say.
I'm like, is Jake gonna?
Where's my bingo card?
Is he going there?
I went there. It's a great, like, it is.
It is. I
It is a
just
great
Like,
line.
it's not something that I would say in normal everyday conversation ever,
no.
or that you would ever, but like the way it's delivered by Don
Yeah.
Johnson
Yeah.
in the film just
Again, Don
works so
Johnson.
well.
Just
And like, yeah, it's just so good. And the way the family turns so quickly on Marta, and it's just everything
Well,
in
I
it is
love
just really well
he
done.
calls Marta, Don Johnson, when he calls Marta in when they're
Yes,
having
oh my
discussion
gosh,
about
I got
immigrants.
so uncomfortable every time I watch it. I'm like, this is so
And then if
bad.
you'll notice, he hands her his plate like
Yes,
she's the maid.
yes. And her family's from Paraguay, not Uruguay, and
Her
it's
family, that's the other thing. They keep screwing it up. Like somebody says that they're from Guatemala.
because they don't care. Like he does such a good job at making her point. Because by the end of the movie, you're like, well, good job. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
well, and Jaimee Lee Curtis delivers a great line when she's like, "Are you boinking my dad? Were you boinking my dad?" And they're like, "Boinking?" Like another great line that
Well,
I probably wouldn't use in everyday conversation ever.
and I gotta say, I think Rian Johnson got a lot of heat for The Last Jedi.
Really, I had never heard that.
But the thing that's with Rian Johnson, and I got to give him major props because every interview that I've seen with him, and every like fan interaction online, and just from the people that I know in the business who have heard stories, he is like the nicest, most down to earth guy. And they're like, when he was out with like making the festival circuit with Brick, and then later with Looper, they're like, if you see him now at one of these events, he's the same guy that he was back then. Like he hasn't changed, and he's just like, he would hang out even after the first after this with Knives Out. Like he'd just hang out in the lobby of the theater and like talk to people afterwards. I'm like, who does that? You know, like he stayed for like an hour and a half and just chatted with people and took photos and hung out.
You mentioned, Val, how cool it is to follow him on Twitter, and it is because he is so genuine, and his interactions with a lot of fans on there are really great. What I find so amazing about him on social media is, you know, with The Last Jedi, he has taken a lot of heat on that, like you said, Tracy, and he's handled it really well. Like he's never been like super angry. I mean, I'm sure internally he's like, I hate talking to people about this movie when they're being so negative about it. I'll avoid using the T word because I know that offends people when I say you just don't like the movie. And anyway, but he has handled a lot of that anger and frustration really, really well. And even as it came up on the 5-year anniversary, he still was releasing posts and stuff about how he enjoyed making the movie and what he enjoyed about it and why it was. And I think that that's really great. He
stands behind his
stayed
word.
true to himself. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I like the fact that he tries different things. Like,
Yeah.
who would cast Joseph Gordon-Levitt and say he is going to play a younger version of Bruce Willis? You know, like they don't look anything alike, but yet somehow he makes that work. And I do think it's funny because Joseph Gordon-Levitt has appeared in just about every Rian Johnson film, and in this one, he plays the voice of somebody that's like on the police scanner. I can't remember.
Yeah, like he's not even on screen.
One line, yeah.
Because you mentioned Val, you mentioned he was in it. I'm like, when was Joseph Gordon-Levitt? But it's his voice. That's all you hear. It's just his
voice.
voice.
Gets like one line. It might even be like one of the TV shows that Marta's grandma's watching or something. I can't remember, but
it's to be able to have that kind of pull and relationship. I mean, Frank Oz comes in and plays the lawyer. And if you don't know who Frank Oz is, I mean, that's the voice of Yoda. That's Yoda.
Stop watching our stuff right now and go like,
it's Grover, Yoda, and also the lawyer in Knives Out. That
and an accomplished filmmaker too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's
it's like, hey, Frank Oz, what are you doing? I mean, nothing. Well, do you want to come do this today? Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and yeah, you look at and I love the fact that he creates creates these characters, and then he hires these actors that you would not think would go well together. Like Michael
That's
Shannon
that
and
gutsy
Christopher
stuff I was
Plummer.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not one that you'd think of necessarily off the top of your head, and yet it works perfectly.
Well, and I think he finds these actresses or actors that are kind of on the up and up, like
Yes.
one of
Anna.
this actress, Anna, what's her last name? Anna
De Armas.
de Armas. And he pairs her with Daniel Craig throughout most of the movie, and she shines next to Daniel Craig, which I think is a testament to Daniel Craig as an actor too, because I think there are some actors that when you're working with them, they make you look better, they help you be better. But I think it's a testament to her that she's able to do that and not get lost in that,
and
you know, in that.
She got to be in a Bond film.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
Well, and I really like her in No Time to Die, because like she was in No Time to Die, and then she was in The Gray Man, and The Gray Man is such an awful movie. It's so bad, and it shouldn't be bad, but it is. But it shows that you can have two movies that are based on similar things come out around the same time, and one, I mean, and equally cast. Like, I mean, The Gray Man should have worked, right? I mean, you're thinking
the Russo brothers
you've got
directing.
her and Chris Evans again. You've got Ryan Gosling, you know, and it's just the most boring movie with all of these beautiful people in it. It's like, I wouldn't tell my worst enemy to watch that film, but then you have No Time to Die where she's in it, and she's not even really a main part of it.
Right.
But every scene that she's in, she steals the scene from Daniel Craig, and he doesn't mind. Like, he is such a generous actor. Like, he understands his role, especially for No Time to Die. I would love to just like talk about that for like an hour, but can we just cover like can we cover all of Daniel Craig's do a month of Daniel Craig as
absolutely
007?
We could do a month of the Daniel Craig 007 movies, because No Time to Die was his last one. Is that and so we could do all of them in a month and just talk about.
But I mean, it just shows like her in any movie I've seen her in, even if the movie is poo, like she has done such a great job, and you never would have known by seeing Knives Out. Like in Knives Out, she plays a character she doesn't play anytime after that. This is the only time I've seen her play this type of character, and it's so unassuming. And every time after that, and I'm not like putting this down, she plays characters that really emphasize her beauty. Which is totally fine. I don't have an issue with it. But with this character, you really get to focus on her acting.
Yeah,
because
she's got like the pullover sweater. She's got her hair.
She just I mean, that's not her character, and I really appreciated it, because then when I saw her in these other things, I'm like, wait a second, that's the same. You know, and I feel bad that she's not really getting noticed for Blonde, because the movie wasn't great, but she was fantastic in it. It's another movie you got to be cautious if you're going to see that movie, but she's had a lot of work over the past couple of years, and I really think Rian Johnson was the start of that for her.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think so too. And she is just, the way she delivers so much of her dialogue in this movie, like you said, Val, so unassuming. And that's why the whole time as the murder is pointing more and more to her mistake, like, no, she can't, like, there's gotta be more to it, because you don't want her to be at all the bad guy. And then when he reads that toxology report and she's about to confess to the family what she did, and he stops her from doing it, you're like, yes, he, like, there's some kind of redemption here. And you find out, no, you gave him the right medicine, because there's just the slightest difference in how they look, and you're a good nurse, and you get, and
you knew the
like,
difference
okay, good,
subconsciously,
But then when she gets Ransom at the end with and lies about Fran still being alive, and then just throws up all over him, it is so just such a great moment.
It's so great.
And the detectives in the background, that means she's like, yeah, we know. That's what it means. But,
we know.
But she just does a great job But for me, meeting Benoit Blanc and Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc in this, like, he has become one of my favorite characters in film. And the way he plays this character, like when they're driving after, um, when he's in the car with her and when he sees her at the records place being burned down, they pull him over and the car chase. And he's like, this mystery, there is a hole in the middle of this mystery. It's like a donut hole. It's like a donut. And he just keeps saying donut and donut holes over and over again. I'm like, dude, you've got to stop saying donut holes. But it is hilarious. Just
Ryan Johnson wanted to cut that from the script. And Daniel Craig was like, no, I can do this and I can make this work. This is
and he
really
does
good stuff.
He does. Like, it, if anyone else was playing that character and just kept saying, I'm like, this guy's an idiot. This is dumb. But he just pulls it off so well. And then when he goes back to it, there's a donut hole in the middle, and I thought it was filled with a donut hole, but that's just a donut hole in the donut hole. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're back on the donuts. Please just stop with the donuts. But it works.
Yeah, I liked there's something fun about a whodunit when they finally reveal the whole series, the whole secret, and they're like, and then this happened. It's like Clue. I think we discussed that on the show.
We've talked about Clue before.
So it's like, then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I like the fact that, not to pull away from this one, but in Glass Onion, like, he does that in a place that you don't expect.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a fun twist on that, because here at the end, like you said, Jake, when she's getting ready to confess and he realizes that she did not make a mistake,
puts it all together.
He gets to release all this information. But that's one of my favorite parts of a whodunit, when they're like, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then this. You're like, oh, okay.
And I love too at the end when she says to him, but I should probably help this family, right? And he's like, well, I have my opinion on that, but I have a feeling you're just going to follow your heart anyway. And then he walks out, and I'm like, it's so great.
Well, and then at the end, when she's standing on the balcony and they're all down below, and she's got the coffee mug, my house,
my rules. Yes.
Like, the framing of that is so great.
I love when Michael Shannon's character, Walt, comes to her and he's like, look, with our family's resources, we can get the best lawyers. We can help your mom. We can get her to stay here. And she's like, oh, so with your family's resources, you'd be able to make all of that happen and she wouldn't be in trouble. Yeah, we can make that all go away. Oh, well, since I have your family's resources now, I guess I could do that. Thanks. And like, she just has these moments because she is so unassuming. And when she has those moments, they just hit harder. I love it.
Super smart.
Yep.
Super smart script.
Is it a smart sweater?
It's a smart sweater, schmedium.
Sweaty. Okay.
Sweaty sweater. Sweaty sweater.
I do think it's
smart collar.
If you have this on physical medium, like probably Dave does, you can get the director's commentary, which they recorded a week after the movie came out. And Ryan Johnson was so tickled that Chris Evans' sweater had actually kind of become like the thing that people were talking about. And I just think that's so funny that he would be so excited that somebody was so excited about the sweater. But
yeah.
Well,
it's the little things.
They all were so smartly dressed, and it just worked. The little things, like you said, Val, when he, at the very end, when she says, when did you first suspect that I had something to do with it? He said, oh, from the beginning. And she's like, how? And he points to her shoe, which you see an hour and a half earlier in the movie. They show that little speck of blood on her shoe, and they don't refer to it again for the rest of the movie. And then he points to her shoe, and you're like, oh man, that's right. They showed that at the beginning and never went back to it. And just so smart, so smartly done.
Yeah, he gives you enough that when the reveal happens, you go, oh yeah, but he gives you enough that he plants that seed without drawing super amount of attention to it. Yeah.
And even when she's trying to save the nurse, or not the nurse, but the Fran,
Uh-huh.
and she said, "You did this," and she was like, "You." She didn't say you did this. She said Hugh.
Ooh.
Because you, and she's like, because you always made the help call you Hugh because you're an a-hole. So many good lines, like just so good. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. This was the movie where I decided I think I'm just a big Rian Johnson fan. Like
Uh-huh.
I loved The Last Jedi. I thought it was really well done. I'm sorry. I'm not
No
sorry. I
Don't
don't care.
apologize.
I'm
I
not going to
enjoyed it as
apologize.
well.
If other Star Wars fans didn't like, I get it. And I'm not going to argue about it. But
But you,
I liked it. And then I saw this movie, and I think that's when I realized, no, I think what I like is Rian Johnson and his storytelling
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
way he does it.
I love that he takes risks. Like
Mhm.
he puts
Yeah.
stuff out there and he's just confident in that he can pull it off, and he does.
Yeah, he
But
does.
I'm with you, Jake. I've been a fan since Looper. I didn't see Brick in the theater. I'd heard about it. And then when Looper was coming out, I'm a sucker for sci-fi and time travel. And so
Yeah.
Looper's a good movie.
I'm like, okay, I'll check that out. And then I was like, all right, this is somebody that I want to watch. So I've been following
Yeah.
him for a while, and he's great.
He is. And I just want him to keep making Rian Johnson movies. And that's why I know that the Star Wars trilogy that he's going to do is on the back burner and everybody's excited for it. And I am. I'll go see it when he
Right.
when he ever makes it. But if he doesn't make it because he's making movies like Knives Out and Glass Onion and movies that he
I'm
wants
with
to make, that's okay too. Because
Yeah.
there are always going to be more Star Wars movies. There's always going to be more Marvel movies. We need more movies that are just their own thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And there are plenty of those out there still. But I want to see those from him. So
I totally agree.
all right, that was the least articulate thing I've said all day, and that's saying something because I've said some pretty inarticulate things. So
I dropped the sweater, so
yeah,
I think
that's
we've all
true.
had our moments.
Well, but
Yeah.
that's becoming a legend. I think
Yeah.
next year we need movies that make us Christmas
The ugly
sweaters,
Christmas
and
sweater
it'll
Yeah.
say,
episode.
"This is
By
my
the way,
ugly Christmas
I
sweater."
Sweater.
did find a new ugly Christmas sweater movie for next year.
Oh,
Oh, boy.
I
in
watched something
advance.
and I'm like, I forgot that this was at Christmas and then later New Year's.
We'll
I'm
write
like,
that down.
okay.
I will also say I have seen a lot of posts on social media lately talking about Iron Man 3 being a Christmas movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's spreading.
It was
Iron Man
playing
3 is spreading.
it was
I
playing
watched-
on PBS a couple times this week. So yeah.
I watched a Christmas movie last night that's not a Christmas movie, but kind of is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And that's Staying Alive. And
Oh.
I had no idea. I watched that movie when I was a kid a lot, like
Uh-huh.
a lot. There, it's dancing, and it's.
Right.
I did not know Sylvester Stallone directed that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started watching that last night, and I'm like, wait a second, there's a little bit of Christmas in here, and
Christmas
Sylvester
in it.
Stallone, and I need to finish watching it because I didn't finish it, but I was just like, what should I watch tonight? And
I think people forget the amount of stuff that Sylvester Stallone has done filmmaking wise behind
Mhm.
the camera
yeah,
and behind the scenes, and we tend to focus on him just being an actor, but he's actually pretty talented in a lot of ways as
Yeah.
far as making film.
but
So
I mean, like how random, like you've got John Travolta in his biggest dance role, right? Because
Yeah.
in Saturday Night Fever, this is a whole different episode, which I'd like to do. He's known for dancing in that, but he's not like dancing. It's not technical dancing.
Uh-huh.
And then he is on Broadway in Staying Alive, and you have Sylvester Stallone directing it. How
Yeah.
rando is that?
Yeah.
It's
When I
random.
was a kid, I had no idea what a big deal this was. I was just like, that guy's really cute, and he's in tights, and we're gonna
Yeah.
watch dancing. I watched all the dance shows. I watched Electric Boogaloo. I watched Staying
Oh,
Alive,
totally.
the edited version of
Yeah.
Saturday Night Fever.
Breaking two Electric Boogaloo.
Freaking two
Xanadu.
Xanadu.
That's
This is a
when
whole
we
other month. This is a whole other month of movies.
I'm looking forward to that month. 2023. It's going to be a big month, folks. We're going to have
we're gonna go
Daniel
Xanadu.
Craig's 007 month. We're going to have dancing movie month from the 70s. I mean, guys, this is going to be awesome.
Well, and roller
2023,
skating.
it's
not
it's
just
not our
dancing,
year.
it's roller skating
Yeah.
roller dancing.
and
Roller
Greek-
dancing.
and Greek gods. It's yeah,
Man, are they?
they're muses.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Xanadu that we're talking about. Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
There was like a whole
Or is that
section
Staying
of
Alive?
the 70s and early 80s where there was movies where even John Travolta's in one where they're like gods up here and they're looking down on the world. There's like all these like movies about
Clash of the Titans.
like the
Yeah.
Greek. Yeah. Anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
None of them were actually good, but we
No.
watched them. We enjoyed them.
Oh, Clash of the Titans is a guilty pleasure.
I mean, that was a real serious one. I'm talking about all the cheesy ones.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the phase that we had in the 90s where there were a lot of angel movies like City of Angels
Yeah.
and Michael and
That was a good.
Yeah.
I will watch City of Angels anytime.
Hey, that's what gave the Goo Goo Dolls their blast to fame.
Right? And Michael, what a great movie.
That's right.
I think they were big before. I think
But
They're
this made
plastic-
them. But
they were
this made them
rising.
epic.
That's what took them into the stratosphere. Yes.
yeah.
I mean that song alone is still played on radio
it's in
stations
Smith's
all over the
commercials
world.
now.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh well, I don't watch commercials anymore, like you peasants. So I don't know.
You peasants.
Well, on that note,
Wow.
let's go ahead and give Knives Out a grade.
It's probably because I just don't watch like sporting events, which I think is where most of the commercials come
News
from.
and sporting
right?
events. Yeah.
I watch
Yeah.
news, but not on regular TV.
Yeah. What grade would we give Knives Out? Well, as one of the peasants, I'll start. I would
It's
give
a joke between Dave and I. Anytime we go to like a hotel or like we're out on the road, he's like, "Do we get to log into our streaming here? Or do we have to?" He says, "Or do we have to watch commercials like peasants?" I think it's so funny. We live in a basement. Like we can make jokes about.
It was funny.
I don't want anybody to
okay.
be like, "Oh, Val."
Oh, Val's all
No.
bougie.
No.
Not bougie.
It is weird though. It is weird when you're used to watching stuff on streaming services and then you go back and you watch it on regular TV of some sort and you're like, what are all of these? This is
And
awful.
the commercials are so bad.
Yeah. It's like when we go to a screening of a film and there's no previews and then we go and we watch it with trailers and it's like these trailers are so long. There are so many of them.
Trailers.
But did you see really quick? Did you see you can now sue movie studios for trailers that are misleading?
What?
Yeah, there was
People
a lawsuit.
Need to get back their regular.
There was a
lives.
lawsuit brought because, and this ties in. Ana de Armas was shown in the trailer, and her scene got cut from the movie, and so some people got upset and threatened to sue, and the judge is going to allow it to go forward, and so they can sue the studio because of misleading, false advertising. And I'm like, I think it falls more under the creative artist license, but
I mean, I feel like just. Not to spend a lot of time on this, but we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. Like if you love certain stars and you're going to go spend money because you think that star is in that movie and that's the only reason you were going to see it. I mean, I can see the argument. Do I think it's worth your time to go sue over it? No, I think you walk up to the movie place and you say, "Hey, I thought this person was in this movie and it wasn't, and I would like my money back." That movie theater is going to give you your money back.
Yeah.
Just get your money back from the theater and let them deal with it. You don't need to go to court. Stop it.
No.
Stop it.
Like what are you suing for?
Stop
I mean, your movie ticket costs still under $20.
And this was a $3.99 digital rental, but they're suing for like $5 million. Of
course they are, because it's America.
That's what we call kids. That's what we call a frivolous lawsuit.
And I'm a fan of movie trailers. Like I'm kind of bummed when I go to a screening and there's no trailers. I'm like, no, because I like seeing something for the first time. Like there's no way that Suicide Squad, the original, would have made any money without that trailer.
Without the music video trailer that matched the music video movie.
Decent, and then it wasn't.
But you want to talk about suing. That would be one worth.
That would definitely be up there. Yeah.
I think we should get together. We should get like as the America like community, and we should sue the studio.
Yeah.
We'll each only get $1, but it will teach them a lesson.
That's right. That's right.
Well, according to David Ayers, it's because they didn't do his cut.
Of course,
he's gone on for years about
Snyder
how his
cut
is
better. Release the Ayers cut. That's
right.
That's
There's
the next
actually
trending.
People that are wanting that. Yeah,
of course there are.
But
I don't want to
Let
get
it
into
go.
it.
Let
I'm
it
I'm
go.
so frustrated with the DC fan base right now. I don't even want to get into it.
Take
It's-
all the time that you're
It's
putting
more
into all
toxic than the
this
Star Wars
frivolous
fan base.
nonsense and help someone in your community. Go do something better
Listen.
with your time and money.
Although,
I'm
really
gonna.
quick, did you
I'm not
guys
gonna
see
say what I was gonna
Zachary
say.
Levi's video that he
Yeah, I
released?
Yeah.
reposted that.
That
Yeah,
dude is
he's
class.
Zachary
Yeah, he
Levi
is.
is one of my favorite people.
Like where he's like, you know what? If I don't get to play this character again, them's the breaks, and I'll move on to something else. You know, I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you're so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's out. Shazam's outside enough
Uh-huh.
that they could integrate it, I think, into what. But I don't know what their
Not
vision
really
is.
connected to anything else.
Yeah. Black Adam, I think, mainly got cut because they needed to get rid of The Rock after his
Well,
attempted coup of
and
DC Studios.
they asked him if he'd do cameos in some of these other films like Shazam and with the Flash, and he refused. So I
Yeah.
think that didn't help either.
Yeah, if you're not going to
Yeah.
be a team player,
Uh-huh.
Rock.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
want
know how
Henry
much I love
Cavill
Dwayne
to
Johnson.
I want Henry Cavill to cameo in my movie, but I won't go cameo in anybody else's.
Yeah.
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 Got to be a team player, bro.
So Knives Out, I
Back
would give
to
this
grading.
movie an A, is what I'm going to give this. I enjoy this one. I do think I enjoyed Glass Onion a little bit more,
Mhm.
but this is still really, really good. It's really well written, well played, well directed. Like all of it is just, it's just quality from start to finish. One of my favorite movies from the year it came out. And it was great to go back and watch it again. So I would give it an A.
It was a B plus for me. Totally enjoyable, but like you said, Glass Onion is just there's just something about that. I like some of the character development a little bit more
Mhm.
in Knives Out. But I just think how Glass Onion plays, it's a movie I would watch more. Like if you said you get to watch one of these, which one are you going to watch? It's going to be Glass Onion.
Yeah.
But B plus is still, I mean, yeah, it's a fun
Yeah,
movie. It's super smart. It's got shwedas. It's got lines. Like
Sweaty sweaters.
Yeah.
how do you go wrong? But and all of the characters, again, you're going to see people like Don Johnson in there, and you're going to be like, why aren't you in more things, Don Johnson? Because he doesn't have to be. That's why.
Yeah.
He's very choosy. People think it's because he's washed up. Nope, super choosy about what he does. He enjoys doing movies, but he likes doing TV more, which is fine. But I like seeing him on the big screen. Super fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna go B plus on this one too. It's very enjoyable. I think Glass Onion is much better film. I think this one takes a little while. Like I said, it takes a little while to get revved up. Once it does, once it finds its stride, then it's up and running. But the casting is a lot of fun. The dialogue is great. B plus for me.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it for Knives Out. We are done with 2022.
Bye.
Starting in January of 2023. We know that January is just the worst month. We get it. We
It's
feel
true.
you. And my birthday's in January, so I know
I don't think January's the worst month.
it is. It is hard.
Because
I think
you
it's
get-
long.
You get Thanksgiving and everybody gets together and eats all this food, and then you put up all the Christmas decorations, and there's all these lights and festivities and fun.
And then you give me a month where I don't have to give anyone a gift or see anyone under false circumstances. I'm totally fine with it.
but
But
it's
in
it's
Utah-
also cold and dark and
And
just
in Utah, we get the inversion.
yeah. The inversion is always
And
bad in
that's when that
January.
really settles in January, and it's air pollution, and it's gloomy, and it's gray.
All right.
And
So
right.
if you
It's
feel like Tracy
dishwasher-
and I do about
it's
January,
dishwasher type weather.
About Schmamuary.
it's true. I look outside during the inversion, and I think the color of that air is dishwater color because
We're
that's
just going to
what
call it
looks like.
January Schmamuary and then
Yes.
just
But we got you. We are going to talk about films in January to brighten your winter day and hopefully bring you some smiles and things like that. And so that's something to look forward to. Maybe we'll turn February into 00 February and talk about Daniel Craig's 007 movies. Either that or we wait until July, but that's too long.
That's
Because
that's
it's the
way too
7th month.
long.
Yeah. So, but that's what we have coming up for you this year. We're going to hit our 4-year mark in March. So a lot of cool
Woo-hoo!
stuff happening in
Fourth
2023.
season,
events.
fourth year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
more
We're going to
crazy,
be
guys.
4. We're jerky little toddlers. Look at us go.
Just wait till we hit our teenage years. You're going to hate it.
preteens.
Yeah, preteens are bad
Teens.
too. But we're excited. So a lot of cool stuff. You're going to want to make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss a minute of it. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcast app, and make sure that you like and comment on this video, because that will get it more traction and more people will see it. And we always appreciate that. And share it. We don't mind. Sharing is caring. We like
true.
it. So, and until then, we won't see you at the movies.
Happy New Year!
This has been an Age of Geek media production.